Hey there, Aries. Welcome to your reading for the week of June 22nd. Thank you for checking out this video. A lot of people have been asking if I do readings. Yes, the link is in the description below. It's always been there. I just don't push it. I pretty much just let people, I feel like if you're supposed to get a reading, then you'll find it. But people have been asking, so it's in the description below, the link to my website with all my readings that I do and everything there. But other than that, let's get into your week. It looks like an interesting week. I think this is an observation. It's not anything psychic or anything like that. I think last week was difficult for a lot of people in a lot of ways, in like a challenge way. I think it was probably an all right week, but I think maybe uh, something maybe that you thought was going to work out didn't, for whatever reason. Could be anything, relationship, money, job wise, anything like that. It could be any one of those things, but it looks like maybe something didn't work out that you wanted it to. Um, I think you're gonna have a great week this week, though. I think things are gonna change. We're in like such a weird, um, energetic time right now. That's just the thing, is that it's such a weird time that it's so hard for, it's so hard to know. I think it's hard for people to even know what to do right now, just in every single way, really. Um, and it's just like I said, it's a weird time. I think it will get better. I actually think that this is a symptom of things getting better, as weird as that may sound. But because it's taking us to a lot better places and things like that. I think that's what's going to come up for you this week too. So we have the Five of Spades, which, this card just is obstacles that came up. Like I said, I think maybe you ran into some obstacles last week over something, or it would probably be over one thing. It wouldn't be too many things. And hold on. So sorry about that interruption there. I have a small dog at my house right now, and I just heard a bunch of noise going on behind me. That's why I have the door closed, because if I don't close it, she's in here jumping up and down and going crazy in general. So I do apologize. But anyway, we were talking about how we probably had a small obstacle last week, or ran into some obstacles. This card is, it means, it's like a blessing in disguise. That's actually the traditional meaning of the card, and that's really what I'm getting for you anyway, is that you're going to be looking back on the situation, and it's actually going to make a lot more sense, I think, in the future. I don't think you'll get that clarity necessarily this week. I think that it's just going to be coming. Next, you have the Ace of Spades, which this card I read as like death, as the death card, not as in a literal death, but kind of like the same meaning as a tarot, which gets a really bad rap, but to me it's actually a positive card, because it means that you're leaving behind a situation that needs to be left behind anyway, and you're coming out of it in much better, much stronger, and in a much better position as well. Feeling better, and all those things. It's kind of like, really the death card is kind of like a forest fire. A forest fire destroys an entire forest, looks like massive destruction on the surface, but really it's a positive thing, because the forest always grows back 10 times stronger with more plants and animals and new and refreshed and all these other things. So I feel like that's kind of where you're headed as well. I feel like I said, I feel like maybe you had like a hiccup last week, or have been feeling this kind of you know like challenging thing. All of this comes up, and maybe you feel like you're trapped or in a tight spot or something along those lines. That kind of took you away possibly from the good feelings maybe you've been having in the prior, few months or few weeks, as things were starting to get better. But I don't think you should let that affect you, really. You have the Queen of Hearts, which is, again, she's kind of like, to me, I'm getting that this is just the energy that's surrounding you, which is just like, she is somebody who, when she gets into kind of difficult situations and things like that, can develop a bad attitude and things like that. That's like the negative side of her card. The positive side is that she's very, very focused, artistic and thinks very creatively to get out of situations. Uh, and you can't really beat her creativity. She represents basically a female water sign. Even though I don't attach sex to cards, so that doesn't matter. But she represents somebody who is, like I said, creative, and that's really what I'm getting, is that you need to use your mind, be creative to get out of a situation, or to just, it's not even like getting out of a situation, it's just making a situation much better than it is. And you're going to use a little extra creativity this week, I think, to accomplish that goal. And if you do that, you have the card that means success. That's the only meaning that this card really has, is it means success. Even the traditional meaning is just simply success. Like I say, it's kind of like 2 rows of plants here, and it's kind of like a harvest. It's like you can go and pick these plants whenever you want, and they're available for you. The success is available, and all that. So you will be, I think you're going to end up feeling very successful this week. I feel like, I don't put times, I always say I don't put times on my readings. Like, people are always like, oh, does this have to do with days? And no, that is just some psychic BS that people come up with, trying to put days onto cards and all this other stuff. It doesn't work that way. That's not how the energy works. It's a flow. So pretty much all my card readings always are just kind of a collection of the flow of the week and how it's gonna kind of feel more than anything. So it's really hard to dial in times. But having said that, I think by the end of your week is really what I'm getting, is that you're gonna be feeling the success very strongly. And like I said, it's a mental success. It's interesting because she uses her creativity for success. The clubs cards literally represent the brain. That's what they represent, and using your brain for success. So use your brain for success this week, and thank you for watching this video.